tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
Okay, we're back. Is misinformation when you expose, is it misinformation when you expose it as misinformation? Question Basil wants to know. Thank you, Basil. And that was Basil. Okay, let's see that one. Oh, why does that do it twice, Basil? That's interesting. Oh, come on here. Love the show last night. Oh, I read that one. Was funny when the guy got kicked out. Any chance you could interview Alex?
What is that?
Epstein?
I didn't think that guy.
Jimmy didn't think the guy was out of control. I didn't notice what was going on.
I didn't think that guy was. It was that he
wasn't aggressive.
It was okay. He wasn't.
He didn't need to go.
I mean,
out. Maybe we missed stuff.
Maybe we missed stuff. So maybe they came over to tell him to be quiet, and he said "fuck you" or something.
Maybe
something had to happen.
The only person of color that the Dems could.
There was a guy in the crowd telling me I was wrong about something.
Right.
What was he saying I was wrong about?
I don't remember.
He was saying, no, you're wrong. And then someone was saying, no, you're right. And I go, oh, I'll go with that guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're wrong. And so I think I was like, okay, you get to have that opinion. But
yeah, and I thought that was fun that you said that too.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm right, And then next thing I know, they kicked him out.
Yeah, that was wild. Doesn't happen that often somebody gets kicked out of a show.
Doesn't happen that often. I don't think it's ever happened. I had a guy leave on his own in Portland. Remember that guy who started yelling at us in Portland?
Yeah. And we know he did not come to see the show. We know he had to be guest of the club.
Of course, he was a guest of the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did not buy a ticket to my show.
And that's why when clubs ask for, that they're going to get 10 passes, no.
Theaters ask for their own comps.
We're not your cup of tea.
No, I don't want some asshole wandering in to see the show.
Yes. Low Dog 1974, the person of color that the Dems could possibly swap Kamala out for would be Elizabeth Warren. Ha ha, funny, Pocahontas.
Okay, ready?
All right, back to Jim.
So Seymour Hersh, his latest article says that Biden had a major medical event that was covered up as COVID. Remember they said, oh, Joe Biden's got COVID. And that if he resisted stepping down, they were going to invoke the 25th Amendment. So you're trying to tell me that certain dealings with President Joe Biden are not on the up and up? I won't stand for that, which is why I'm sitting down. So there's Joe Biden. What is that face? What kind of looks like he's
bowel movement?
That's what I was thinking. Looks like he's trying to make sure he doesn't soil his pants. Trying to make sure that a fart doesn't turn into a shit. Is that what he's doing? He looks like a dash hound, right? Is that indicating things are not going the way his handlers told him they would? That's what that looks like. Anyway, so leaving Las Vegas, this is it. Inside the last tortured days of the Biden campaign. This is Seymour Hersh, July 27th. He says, it's not surprising that the long overdue unraveling of President Joe Biden's re-election campaign happened when it became impossible to keep his increasing impairment covered up. It was, by the way, they weren't keeping it covered up. We saw it in 2019. We've seen it. Everybody's seen it. If they weren't covering it up, they were lying to people, and then certain people decided to believe that lie. It became impossible to get. It was the big time money backers of the Democratic Party who called off the game of see no evil, hear no evil after Biden's shocking performance in his June debate with Donald Trump. Shocking? Shocking would be if Biden didn't sound like the last ice cube in his skull had just melted. That would be shocking. Shocking would have been if he came out and spoke fluently and coherently. That would have been shocking. They balked at continuing to give millions of dollars to the party now that there was evidence that the president is not always there. You'd think it would be a vigilant press corps. This is Seymour Hersh. You'd think it would be a vigilant press corps led by the New York Times and the Washington Post who first broached the issue of Biden's impairment, but those papers missed the story. No, I would not think that. You would think, no, I would not. Nobody thinks that. That's funny that he would write that. Seymour Hersh has been on the show. He's probably, him and Julian Assange, the greatest investigative reporters of our time. Glenn Greenwald also up there. Want to make sure I get that shout out. You'd think it would be the press. No, we would not think that. Just to let you know, we would not think that. Okay. The first significant report came in early June from the Wall Street Journal, whose consistently brilliant news section, considered suspect by the Times and Post and many readers because of the paper's conservative editorial page and the fact that it is part of Rupert Murdoch's News Corps, broke the story on the front page under the headline, Biden's Closed Doors. Behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. I tweeted that out. I said, you should see what he's doing in front of the closed doors. Behind closed doors, he shows signs? Behind the closed doors? That's how much they've lowered their standards over at the Wall Street Journal. They're only starting to notice signs now? Are you kidding? Okay. Anyway, the White House press office quickly responded that both of those quoted in the story were Republicans who are supporters of Trump. The strategy somehow worked. Fear of Trump took priority over doing the right thing. Somehow it worked. Well, yeah, because Biden did such a great job handling COVID. The strategy. Oh, my God. Who in Washington didn't know that Biden was failing? We all did, up to a point. I had learned months earlier from a federal official that those in the front rows of university events where Biden was speaking were warned not to move if the president tripped while walking to the podium.
That turn blonde in the sun. What is that? And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again.
I just can't get over this. The strategy somehow worked. The strategy, by somehow, does I mean obviously, since every blue anon MAGA, that's blue MAGA people, they've been lobotomized by corporate horseshit for at least a decade. So that's how it somehow worked. Because people still believe what they see on TV and read in the New York Times. Okay. Who in Washington didn't? So they were told not to get up if President Biden at universities where he'd be speaking or at, graduation ceremonies. They were told. That's amazing. That's amazing. Secret Service agents were on hand to pick him up immediately. There would be no front page photos of a college valedictorian helping the president climb to his feet. The American public could see Biden's slow decline. Okay. Okay. Wow, this is... The Journal reported that nearly 3/4 of those polled thought Biden was too old to seek another term. Cabinet meetings in the past few years largely disappeared or turned into rote sessions, as recorded by the C-SPAN, which faithfully televises all White House events. Biden would join the seated cabinet heads and read from a prepared text, with each page covered with a plastic sheet. Instead of asking, is Biden too old? Is he too... Why don't we... They just never ask the right questions. The questions they should have asked was, is it us or does Joe Biden's stutters seem to be way worse? Would you ever dream of letting your kid on a school bus that Joe Biden was driving? That's a question they should have asked. Would you be relieved to know that that Biden thinks his nuclear football is actually just one of those toys where you pull the string and the cow says moo? What brand of car battery do you think is being used to animate Joe Biden's corpse puppet? Those would be the questions that they should have asked. Not is he too old? Hey, would you say Biden's brain is more of a liquid or a gas at this point? Those would be the questions they should ask. After the debate, there was mounting pressure on Biden to drop out. The White House and the president himself denied that he was suffering from anything more than a bad day or a cold or a jet lag. There were newspaper stories about Hunter Biden, the president's convicted son, keeping by his side and warning all White House staffers that anyone who even hinted at the truth would be fired. Really? That message quickly was leaked to the press. Soon, the White House press corps suddenly discovered that they were being misled by the president's press secretary. No kidding. There were lots of tortured questions and broken hearts, but the message was the same. The president is in good health and is going to run for re-election this fall and carry on serving for 4 more years after he defeats Trump. Well, you know, when you put it like that, I guess it is pretty funny. He's going to defeat Trump. Okay. On Monday, July 15th, Biden took off on Air Force One on a campaign trip to Nevada, a toss-up state that Biden won in 2020 by a little more than 30,000 votes. On Tuesday, he gave the keynote address to 5,000 members of the NAACP at its annual convention. And did you see video from that? He couldn't even read his own speech. It was a disaster. In the middle of sentences, he would just go, anyway. He's reading. He's reading. Okay. The next day, the president, apparently stricken while campaigning with a yet-to-be-revealed illness, broke from his schedule and made a police escort race to Air Force One after initially telling police they were heading to the nearest emergency room. So something happened to him. That's what Alex Jones actually reported.
Well, that's because what happens in Vegas, Jimmy, stays
in
in Vegas.
A series of blog posts, local police reports, internet messages, and report in the Daily Mail disclosed further details on Biden's trip to Las Vegas and his abrupt return home to Delaware. I'm pretty sure he was having bone surgery to make himself 8 inches taller than he previously was. You see how much taller Joe Biden's gotten? He's now taller than Benjamin Netanyahu. I went over these reports this week with a senior official in Washington who helped me fashion an account of a White House in complete disarray, culminating in the president's withdrawal from the race. It's a story not unlike 7 Days in May, the Cold War thriller in which a colonel played by Kirk Douglas foils a coup staged by a general played by Burt Lancaster. None of what you read below comes from an official account by the White House. None of what you read below comes from an official account by the White House, okay? By the way, over a century ago, Smedley Butler realized he was actually just a highly decorated corporate mercenary who was actually tasked with defending international money interests rather than defending America. And the reason we don't see the new Smedley Butler today is because the money's too good. Okay. So at this point, according to Emily Gudin, a Daily Mail reporter who was in the traveling press pool. So they have a press pool that travels with the president, right? And they get on the plane. The president was deathly pale, and Air Force One flew at maximum speed to Delaware, where the president has a weekend retreat at Rehoboth Beach. The press pool was told that Biden had COVID. Nothing more was said on Air Force One. Well, how pale was he? He was so pale, people suddenly remembered how he wrote the crime bill that locked up 3/4 the majority of black and brown people. That's how pale he was. Okay. After Biden's return to Delaware, the White House told the public that Biden had contracted COVID infection and would be in isolation. He was said to have upper respiratory symptoms, a runny nose, a cough, and that he was fatigued. Okay. That was the last straw for a core group of congressional leaders, government officials, and some senior Biden funders who are withholding huge amounts of committed contributions. There was pressure on donors to come across on their pending commitments, the official told me. It was understood that Biden had a physical problem in Las Vegas, and the family was saying no to continued pressure from donors and senior Democrats in Congress to withdraw from the presidential campaign. Initially, the president could not be reached. The president what? Initially, the president could not be reached. And they said that while they were standing right in front of him. By Saturday, July 20th, former President Barack Obama was deeply involved, and there was talk that he would place a call to Biden. It was not clear whether Biden had been examined or just what happened to him in Las Vegas. The big three, the official said, referring to former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, continued to be directly involved. On Sunday morning, the official told me, with the approval of Pelosi and Schumer, Obama called Joe Biden after breakfast and said, "Here's the deal. We have Kamala's approval to invoke the 25th Amendment." Oh, it's that kind of loyalty that gets you ahead in Washington. Am I right?
Huh.
Oh. So they're saying, well, we think we have the approval from Kamala. We told her to giggle like an idiot once, just once for yes and twice for no. So the 25th Amendment provides that when the president is determined by the vice president and others to be unfit to carry out the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall assume those duties. A key factor in this decision to force Biden out of office by invoking the 25th Amendment was a series of increasingly negative polls on the president's standing against Trump that had been commissioned by funders. That's what it was. That's what did this. That's what this is. The official who has decades of experience in fundraising told me that Obama emerged as the strong man throughout the negotiations. He had an agenda, and he wanted to seek it through to the end, and he wanted to have control over who would be elected. That means he's talking about Obama, right? Wow. So this is the kind of stuff that crack White House press corps missed. This is the kind of stuff that they missed, and so nobody knew Joe Biden was in mental decline. He doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what to do. There he goes. Whoops. Oh, look, they're all pointing that guy. Oh, here he comes. Remember this? Forgets to take his foot out of the pedal and falls straight over. At least he didn't break his hip. That's positive.
Republic of Brazil, accompanied by the Director General of the International Labor Organization.
And to say to President Biden, can you hear me, President Biden? This is a historical moment for Brazil.
Look at this.
And for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good.
Oh, and my God.
Oh.
This is going to be tough. He's going to try and put this coat on. I see this. those are glasses. Okay, but he's a real.
Hold the handrail. Hold the handrail.
Remember this?
That's Kamala thinking, I'm going to be president.
Yeah.
Look at me.
I don't want to love nobody but you.
Just stand there like frozen. Just frozen. So this is all the stuff that the White House press corps missed. This is the stuff that they missed.
Oh, yeah, he's all there. He's able to
No matter
fist
what
bump.
their cost. 2, 10, 12, 15. Whoop, stepping on a. It's black. Anyway.
And here he is now he's gonna crap his pants right there. Okay.
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
And then she says, please don't do that here. Oh, remember this? He doesn't know where to go.
Mr. President, thank you.
Look at, he's the president. He has no idea what.
At the end of
Does he look
such
like he's
a
in control?
momentous event, the word
Is
thank
he
you
running
seems
things?
kind of inadequate. But for all the millions whose lives will be saved, for the community,
food, and shelter by someone they may have never met before.
Oh, he's
We
just
are a
gonna go to
community
sleep, right?
that relies on family, on ohana, whether by blood or by friendship. But like many others, my son's home burned down.
Oh, this is him in Maui. Oh, jeez.
What do you do next? 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years.
Oh, God. 4 more years. So he
I've
read.
been a senator since I was 29 years old. Never left government. The fall, he had tied that fall. He decided to look. I shouldn't get into this probably. Never forget, America is the strongest when we lead not only by our example of our power, but by the power of our example. You can clap for that. As President Lincoln said, we'll never forget lying around and him lying around, actually. They're trying to erase black history. We're going to write black history because it's American history. On Memorial Day, I proudly stood with a black man. Just checking this afternoon. Good afternoon. Will not bring Israel in, will not bring down, will only bog down Israel and Gaza.
Yes, sir.
Is Steny here? Where's Steny Hoyer? Steny Hoyer.
I hear him in the back. He's drinking. He's over by the beer.
Well, Steny Hoyer lives on the western shore of Delaware in Maryland. The thing about, let me put it this way. I remember when I was vice president and things weren't going too well.
Okay. Wow. That's fantastic. That's okay. All right. So that's the story. They were going to force him out. Joe Biden got forced out. And it was because the donor class didn't want to give the money anymore because his polling was bad. Not because he's demented. That's why. So democracy's on the ballot. You don't live in a democracy. If you think you live in a democracy, you're a chump. Okay, over to Steph.
I'm just surprised Juan Guaido isn't running for president. Why
No
don't they
kidding.
do that? Wouldn't that be something, right? He's all worried about U.S. politics. He goes, I should run here. We're a society in denial, Hannesser says. What, Joe is in decline like mental or something? Joe, little wisdom. Check out Parker Thayer on Twitter. He has evidence that ActBlue may be preying on senior citizens by tricking them into signing up for multiple recurring contributions. One makes 10 donations a day. Steve from Ontario. Please watch this video ASAP. Shows a man pointing a gun at Trump's head into the SUV surrounded by Secret Service. Miss Liberty. Oh. Judicial Watch FOIA page. Easy to find emails about Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Thank you, Joybird. The scourge of fentanyl was unleashed by the FDA. This changed regulations from administering it on a clinical settings as an accidental overdose was ultra easy to allowing patients to take it home. Sparky 63. The only way to improve the prison system is to pay the PIC more money to free people than to jail them. Yes, that's extortion, but the only solution I see. Sparky, thank you for that. That was this fentanyl. You discovered the story FBI counterintelligence Charles McConnell. I read that one. Drunken scoundrel. Thank you. Jimmy watched Trey Gowdy's questions. Strook. Yes, I read that one earlier. Basil, Kamala Mamala on Drew Barrymore show. That's right, Basil. Outstanding show as always. Jimmy and Steph. Aaron, thank you. Welcome to the Great Awakening, Catherine. Is it misinformation when you expose misinformation? Basil. The Indian Hindi pronunciation of Kamala is Kamala. The second syllable A is very short, and the third syllable A is long. Thank you so much, Rama. It's hard for me to read that one, right? Okay, here we go. Little Wisdom, what, Joe in decline? Oh, I read that one. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the free world fumbles McFucking good. That is from My Real Name. All right, I have 3 more over here. Let's see what this one is. We're a society in denial. Hannah, sir. Thank you, Hannah, sir. Oh, I see some new ones just came up. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the world fumbles fucking good. Funny. All right, what's this one? All right, so I read those 3. Stand by. I think I see 3 more that just appeared on Rumble. Fight, fight, fight. JSNA box, thank you. Fight, 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 JSNA box. All right. Damn it, I meant McFucking goo. I guess I shouldn't talk about my dementia, My Real Name. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the free world fumbles McFucking goo. All right. Thank you, My Real Name. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's see what else here. I don't know what that oh Jesus is about.
What the fuck?
All right. Here, moving on. He grabbed a chain, told me to wrap that around my hairy legs. What was that one, Mr. Boston? All right, what's this? I read that. Fight, fight, fight. Hold on. Let me scroll up, make sure I got to everything that I should get to. All right. Thank you, Jim. All right. Recommendation of Hitman. All right, let's look here. All right. Rochi Boy, read that one. About Australia. Jack Early, I read that one. Sparky. Break It Off in BlackRock. Make Ukraine Russia Again. Sparky 63. So glad CIA came out to say they didn't MK Ultra crooks, basically admitting that they had brainwashed plenty of people in the past. Shame that they would even have to say that they didn't do it. I was watching one program that said that they had their eyes on crooks 90 minutes before the shooting. Did you see that report either? I saw that one. If elected, I read that one about Cynthia McKinney. All right. I read that one about the PIC, fentanyl, Nothing to Cheer, Trey Gowdy, Charles McConnell. Cornpop, oh boy, can Kamala grill, but better something. Oh, I read that one. Samon, the same thing, corrupt settlements happened with the Labor Party. They made settlements with fake whistleblowers who invented anti-Semitism and exaggerated cases when Corbyn was leader. Thank you, Samon. Low Dog, thank you, Low Dog. Miss Liberty, please watch this video ASAP. Thank you. Check out Parker Thayer. All right. So I got to most of the Rumble.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Back to Jimmy.
So.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit
Isn't it swell? The memes make themselves. They found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. Shut it down. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison. But they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators. And they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running the system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just MOVE babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years, all you've gotten is a slap in the face. All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.